Good morning, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday, and welcome to another live Medwell Unscripted. My name is April, and I'm with Medwell Health and Wellness, and I'm really excited for today's topic. I mean, I get excited for every time we go live and topic, but today we have such a special guest. His name is Tony Galvao. He's the president of MBK 617, and it's a nonprofit organization helping our youth. And, you know, one of the things that our Medwell Unscripted is all about is educating patients and people out there, all of our friends and our followers, about not only cannabis, but about things that people are making a difference in the community. It's really important. One of the things that Medwell really is near and dear to our heart is working and helping nonprofit organizations and making people aware. And we're using this platform to do just that today. So I'm going to get started here. We have our awesome Kayla from Medwell in the chat. She's going to help us out in dropping links. We have Emily Waxman, our Director of Community Outreach. And we have Tony Galvao, the president of MBK 617. Welcome, guys. How are you today?
Doing pretty
Great.
Good. All right, let's get started. Emily, why don't you tell, I know we kind of do this as an intro every time, but I think it's important for people to know your role and what you do in your community outreach. Can you share a little bit about what you're doing out there?
Of course. So my role here at Medwell is to be able to go out into the community and speak to all different folks to tell them about the medical program here in Massachusetts and why they would want to reach out to a group such as Medwell to obtain their medical certification, to get their medical card. And I get to meet amazing people like Tony and just be able to connect so that we can work together, within the community and just be able to be a positive force for everyone. So it's just a pleasure that we have Tony here today. And let's speak to him a little bit more so we can hear all about him and his amazing program.
Awesome. All right, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. First of all, I just want to say thank you for you guys for having me here today. It's a pleasure. Basically, my name is Tony Galvao. I was born in Cape Verde. Came to America when I was 6 years old. My family moved to the Dorchester area where I've been ever since. I've been doing a lot of community work since 2013, and that's really my passion. I just want to see the young people do better than I did. And coming from the same environment as them, I just don't want them to go through the same things I went through.
Awesome. So, Tony, let's get started and share a little bit. So, MBK 617, I think it sounds like you've been doing lots of community work along the way. Kind of what brought you to being one of the creators of this great organization? And then please do tell us all about the organization and what it actually does to help our youth.
Yeah, so in 2013, my cousin and another friend of mine, they had this big plan of stopping violence in the community. So they got all these different gangs together, and for a whole summer, they were able to keep the neighborhood pretty safe. I think crimes did happen, but there were no shootings. There was no murder. It was like one of the first summer that happened in our community. So everybody was like, wow, this is amazing. But then things out of their control happened, and the following summer wasn't as successful. So we decided to come together, me and 5 other guys, like, how can we keep that summer going? And we figured it was just easier us working with the young people than us trying to always convince people to put their differences aside. As we all know, the older you get, the harder it is to try to change people's mindset about certain things. So thanks to them, they brought me in. I was one of the 6, and my whole passion was basically, I lost a lot of friends young, but we never had that help. So I never felt like we were screaming for help, but no one ever came. But we just didn't understand the trauma that we was going through. Now that I'm older, looking back at it, I've seen a lot of things. Like, it's not normal for every time there's a gunshot for my mother to call me to see if I'm okay. Just stress on her, even if I'm at a friend's house watching a movie. She doesn't know. Even though she knows I'm there, it just became a natural thing for her to pick up the phone and call me. So a lot of the trauma things that we went through is what motivates me today after I understand it was trauma. And I want to help the young people understand that it is trauma and how we could get by it together.
So what is there a demographic of youth that your organization helps?
Yeah, we started off with 20 boys between the ages of 14 to 16. That was our first year. Then we realized how the younger kids were looking up to the older kids, so we kept bringing them along. So technically, by what we say on the website, we work with kids between 8 to 16, but in reality, we have members as young as 4.
Wow.
To like we still help kids that was our first generation. They're like 24 now, 23. So we still help them out. We help the parents out because we understand that in order for the kids to be successful, it needs a positive environment. So the parents need help finding jobs and stuff. We help them in that nature so they could be able to help the kids at home.
And what type of programs do you guys offer?
Yeah, we started off just doing a summer program. The first program we did was just taking kids out of the neighborhood, just showing them there's different things in the world that they could look at. The thing that really caught our mind is like when we used to take them on field trip, let's say for example basketball. When they play basketball in the community and when they play basketball outside the community, it was two different kids. In the community, they always looking over their shoulder, they're less stressed. But when they're outside the community, they can actually be themselves. And that's what led us to just like, wow, let's just bring them to more places. And we are actually like youth ran. Like we let them choose the trips. I'll worry about the fundings. They plan the trips where they want to go, Six Flags. The first couple of years, we planned everything out of pocket, so everything was just easier to coordinate. Then 20 kids went to 30, then 30 went to 40. So now we're just like, we just let them decide what they want to go, and together with our sponsor, we'll make it happen. That was our first program. Now, unlucky for us, we wanted to release 4 different programs. Then COVID hit, so we kind of going little by little with it. So we're still trying to figure out how to do things with this new normal. One of the programs is a community-based program where we do block parties. We did a few in the past, and it's very successful because the whole community come and the kids just see a lot of positive people around them, and we feel like that's what they really need right now, just positive people that look like them, that have been through the same struggles they've been through, so they can kind of relate to them. Another program that we're trying to launch is called Brick by Brick, which we want to teach financial literacy. We want to teach them steps of owning a home so they could play early in their mindset. So when they're 23, 24, they are homeowners. We want to teach them about starting a new business, and we want them to also understand the power of vote. We have so the way it works, each of those things is its own brick, and we're going to let the kids choose which brick they want and let them create their own foundation. So even if a kid want to work just on one brick, it's like, let's work on that, and we could figure the rest as we go. Just trying to let them control their lives, because we feel like in school you are told what to do. When they're at home, they're being told what to do. Especially a lot of kids that are in different programs or court involved in the system, they're always being told what to do. So we want to at least give them some control of their lives so they could feel motivated, and hopefully that can help them make decisions in the other aspect of their lives.
I love that they get to choose, because what a confidence builder and
exactly,
empowering them.
Yeah, because one thing we realize is like the environment. For example, like one of the things we want to do an Airbnb event where we'll rent out a mansion and bring these kids there and talk about how to own a house versus sitting them in a classroom. Because if you're in an environment where you always fail and you're not being successful, why would we put you in that environment again to teach you some lessons? So we just want to bring them to the Airbnb, them seeing a large yard, them seeing a walk-in closet. We did a little test run, and just the reaction of kids being impressed by things like a walk-in closet, like they never imagined it exists, let alone imagine them owning it. So that's what we're trying to do, just trying to create different avenues for them to see different things out there.
I love the entrepreneur piece of it too, Tony. When we first spoke, you had mentioned that. I think that it's so wonderful that you can instill in the youth that they can, have an idea and they can build upon that and they can be business owners in the community. It's just so fantastic that you're giving them that opportunity.
Thank you, appreciate it. Like we have a youth, like we spoke last time, he's 14 years old. His name is Jason. His mom had cancer, so it was very hard for him to find a job. He kept calling us all the time, I need to work. And it's like, we can't find you work nowhere. Like, you're 14. And then he wanted to help support the mom with groceries. So the most we could have done was like gift cards, helping him in there. But he wanted to feel like he's at 14, he was a man of the house, so no father around, and he's like the oldest male in the house. So he just felt like all the burden just fell on his shoulders. So we just decided to start a water company where we bought him a bike, one of those 3-wheelers bike. He got the cool in the front, and he was just selling water this summer. And hopefully this summer coming up, we're teaming up with the city. We could get him at different events and different venues where he could actually start selling his water. And one day actually start his own water brand. Like we're working with a couple of people to get him with his own water bottle, like little by little, just and him understanding like him just selling water right now, saving that money for the bigger goal is huge. Like,
wow, that's great. That's
amazing.
great. That's great. Tony, I'd love you to talk a little bit about your letter. You have on your website a letter to the youth. Can you kind of talk about what made you write that letter and kind of where that came from? Because I think it's a pretty powerful letter that, and we'll share that. We'll drop that in the chat as well so everybody can see that.
Yeah, the thing about that letter is like I wrote it and I was just gonna send it out to our kids because after the George Floyd situation happened, a lot of kids wasn't reaching out and we were talking to them, and I don't know if they're too young to understand or there's too much going on in their lives, with COVID, school, like there was so many things going on. So I feel like if I just write a letter, hopefully they'll see it. I'll send it to them, and whenever they're ready, they could read it. Because, like at that moment I wrote, it was very passionate. And I was like, because I had just found out, so I was like, later in the future, I might not have that same passion as I have right now. That's why I wanted to talk to them. But if I just put my passion in this letter, whenever they read it, they'll get the powerful meaning I was trying to say behind that letter. It was just telling them, like, basically, we got your back. We understand what's going on in the world. There's a lot of people in the world that believes in you, that want to help you regardless of the race, regardless of age, regardless of religion. Just trying to surround that. That's one thing, too, we're trying to do. We're just trying to surround them with people that look like them, that have been through the struggle, but we also want to surround them with people from different cultures, different religions, so they can understand how the world is huge. They don't have to just keep the same mindset that they've been told growing up.
It's a beautiful, heartful letter, Tony.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I think that's, clearly in the times that we're in, that's a really important message to share for everybody to see. So, so I guess the other thing is I noticed that you have this blueprint and kind of tell us a little bit about the blueprint and how that you must have I'm sure that in your passion, you probably have all these great ideas, right? That you want to just do them all at once. But what's kind of your overarching strategy and kind of the blueprint to what you want to see come out of MBK 617?
Yeah, like the blueprint we created, because one thing we had to understand, right, is the why. Everything we did is the why. And I know a lot of times people will say, oh, when they go to our blueprint, there's not enough information about all that stuff, because the reason we did it like that is because things are always changing. For example, like what we had set out to do before COVID and doing now, totally different. So one thing we did learn from COVID is flexibility. So one thing we didn't, like I said, like you understand the why kids do certain things, why our kids smoking weed versus instead of you telling them stop smoking weed. Story I like to share, we had a youth, he was smoking every day, like 7 days a week, all the time. It's just us having that conversation with him, like just don't smoke before work. So him just smoking after work, to us, that was a success, because now he's going to work with the right mindset. Other people might look at it, oh, why is he still smoking though? Why are you guys encouraging that? It's like, if we could just encourage him to take a step at a time forward, he could keep going. Now, sitting here today, the last time I spoke to him, he's not even smoking a lot. He smoke occasionally, social smoking, which is a huge progress for him, smoking 7 days a week, not keeping to work, not being functioned, drinking, doing a lot of things at the wrong time. Just us teaching them when the time is right, when you could do this, move forward with life, and how can you progress without make certain decisions. How can those decisions impact your future? So just him understanding that to us was a success. The blueprint's always changing. That's why it's like we're not gonna put too much words there, because we'll be changing that website every day. For example, COVID, we realized that our kids need resources. So what we did, we bought a book, we gave them gift cards, teamed up with the city of Boston. We were able to pass out $20,000 worth of gift cards to these kids to Target. So they could go buy bed sheets, so they could go buy things that they need. Some of the kids were even buying toys for their younger brothers and sisters, which we thought was powerful. Like just them noticing how tough times is. Even I think some of the kids are doing it so the brother and sister don't bother them while they're playing video games, but it's a progress, right? Get them going. And another thing too, we realized when we did the Christmas we did a Christmas one where we brought gifts to kids. It's how many kids, regardless if COVID existed, won't be able to go to the mall to see Santa. That was, I think, out of all 20, out of everything we did 2020, that was the biggest thing that hit me hard. It's like, wow, like we're bringing it to them because of COVID, so we could try to teach them social distance, make sure they're home safe. But then we just found out that even if COVID didn't exist, half of these kids weren't be able to go to the mall because parents are working 2-3 jobs. There's no one to bring them. Or even if the mother has the time, she doesn't have the vehicle, you're not going to grab 3-4 kids to put on the buzzing train just to go see Santa. You might not see it as a priority, especially being mother, like you like, oh, I'd rather be home with my kids right now. The few times I have away from work, I want to spend time with them. I want to do this at the house. I want to clean. So we realized a lot of stuff like that. So that's why the blueprint that was on the website. It's always changing. We don't go into details. If anybody ever, like, we also give the kids the ability to add to it. Like, just like the break by break, they always have the ability to add to it. But the main thing is just keeping them more safe, away from gangs, and just giving them outlets to life for them to do other stuff.
I love that you share. So you've shared a few stories. Can you share some more about kind of some of the things that you're doing, like specific stories that resonate with you? I'm sure every one of them resonates with you and working with the kids that you're working with, but is there some standout moments that you'd like to share with our audience so they can kind of get a more of a bigger view of how you're helping the youth in your community?
Yeah, one thing is we just partnered up with a community center called Bird Street Community Center. And just seeing how many of the older kids are coming to help is huge. Like they coming in all signing volunteer slips. Like they want to be volunteers. They're not coming like, hey, do you have a job opportunity for me? Hey, do you have this for me? They're legit just want to come and watch the kids play basketball. And then it's just sitting back, looking at them, helping the younger kids. It felt like when we all started, and it's a good reminder of why we do it. You know, because like, as we grow, more kids coming in, we need more resources. So I'm more like on the computer trying to write grants and stuff like that. But those moments like that always brings me down. Like, wow, this is the reason you're doing the hands-on, like playing basketball with the kids, them coming to the community center. There's this kid too, his name is Feru, that's the nickname. Every time he walks in, everybody just yells, "We miss you, Feru." Like, he's like, "I was in for 2 hours." And then like just him like seeing stuff like that and him understanding like brotherly love and stuff like that. So he's always in the community center. He's actually one of our last posts that we went on live with him, and just him like just seeing things and just bringing a whole different type of energy. Him being like 12 years old and just seeing him bring a whole different type of energy to MBK is wonderful.
That's awesome. Now, what type of sponsors do you have? You know, like you have some resources, but kind of if somebody here today wanted to help support the organization, how would they do that? And what types of organization or what types of help are you looking for?
First of all, I just want to thank the people that started with us. It's funny just thinking about like the people that was dropping off cases of water for our first trips, bringing us ham and cheese, like the community. So I think our biggest sponsor is the community, people from the community, because it's not always a money amount, it's just them always being there. Because without them in those rough days that we went through, like going to the beach and somebody just driving to the beach to meet us there to drop off a few snacks, fruits and stuff like that, like all our cousins, our family, like those to us is what we consider our main sponsor. Even though now we have like the Patriots just gave us a grant, we have a bunch of organizations that's willing to help us. There's a lot of people out there that wants to help us, but our main thing is the community. Like the community always has our back. Even at Bird Street Community Center now that we're willing to work together, we got a bunch of people from the community that's showing up, helping us. Like, yo, I could donate this. If you guys need help painting the wall, we could come paint. We could do this. We could do that. So they are our main sponsor. And if anybody else want to join, just go to mbk617.org. You could email us from there, or you can visit us on our Instagram at My Brother's Keeper 617. That's where we're more active. And just come join the community. Like I said, it's always good energy, good people trying to do good work.
You know, I for all of our friends out there that are not familiar with kind of what goes on behind the scenes at a nonprofit, there's so many moving parts. And Tony, it's just been wonderful getting to know you and talking to you and hearing all your enthusiasm, and you're just willing to just do whatever it takes to make this a success. And even the first time that we were talking, I still look back and I laugh because you were telling me all the things that you were doing. And I said, geez, Tony, I go, who's your grant writer? And you looked at me with a smile and you're like, you're looking at him. So it's like, you're really just amazing. And the fact that you have been able to just do whatever it takes to make this a success is just such a testament to the type of individual you are. And again, it's really an honor to have you here today. We really, cannot thank you enough. And I really hope that everyone listening goes and checks out the website and learns a little bit about your program so that they can just see how fantastic it is and how well needed it is in the community.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot, you guys having us here and letting me speak about MBK, because I'm really passionate about it. So it's like I'm here trying to like sit back and enjoy the moment, because like I said, we need everybody. In order for this to work, we want to bring as many positive people around. It's not always about the money. Like, we know with the money we could be able to help a lot of kids, and we know a lot of kids need a lot of resources. But once you guys come join us, you guys will see, man. Just them seeing a bunch of people in a room that's willing to support them, to them that means more. Because as a young person, you really don't understand, like you said, the behind the scene work of a nonprofit, how you have to get grants. All you see is the resources and the people that's there, and the people is going to be the people to change their lives. So somebody could come in and then they could connect on a topic that I probably don't have experience on. Like, if somebody's homeless and then another person was homeless and they made it through and they became successful, like those type of interaction and connections that we're trying to make.
Now, is there a service area that you kind of service in the Boston area? Is it just in Dorchester, or if somebody outside of the Dorchester area, can they come in? Can youth come from outside of that? Kind of what's your coverage area?
Yeah, we mostly focus on Dorchester and Roxbury. Those are the two areas we work with the most.
Okay.
We're at Upham's Corner, and it's like the borderline between both towns. But if someone is from like nearby towns are coming, I know it might be a little rougher depending on the parent situation. Are they able to get the kids over? So we definitely just hit me up. We could figure out a plan. Even if it's just me contacting the kid on Zoom or being over there to help find jobs and resources like that, we could do it. But yeah, we're open to everybody. I know, like, it sounds like the right thing to say, but it really is true. Like, it's 6 of us, and we all bring different aspects of things. Like, we have homeowners. Some of us own our own businesses. So we've been through it from the community, and we were able to give them advices of how we went through. How did we stay away from the gang life? How did we deal with certain situations? For example, like another story I like to share is like, just like this kid who was going to the birthday party, and we just helped them decision of picking out flowers. He went in and he came out with flowers. Like, you cannot bring that. Like, that's not that doesn't say happy birthday. So he's like, so he starts panicking. So we had to go back to the flower shop and just helping out pick out flowers. And then also tell him you got to grab a flower for the mother. You can't just bring it for the daughter, and things like that. Just teaching them like little stuff like that. And then when he gets back, he's like, oh, the mother loved the flower. Thank you. Like, those are the touches that I live for, and just enjoy knowing that they're doing positive things and they actually enjoying life.
Tony, can you, I'm sorry, April. Last time we spoke too, you had mentioned a program that you were doing that I really loved as well, because it's not just for boys, this program, correct? You're also having girls too, I think you mentioned. And then you had also talked about, having women speak as well, so that, some of the boys can be listening to women who are, business owners or, highly successful, so that, they can see kind of all, not only men, but there's women out there too. And so can you just touch upon that? Because I really loved that as well.
Yeah, so that's the program Brick by Brick I was saying. When we're teaching financial literacy, we also open that to boys and girls. And actually, since the last time we spoke, there's a group of girls, they're like 16 to 18. They started My Sister's Keeper 617. So they're on the process of so we're going to show them how to grab a board, how you go about board members, how you go about this, how you go about doing that. So they just started like last week putting things together. So hopefully they can be up and running soon. But the main thing I wanted to it's just society labels a lot of things. You know, like the society puts, oh, only guys could do construction and things like that. So
Right.
we want to bring females that in these different industries so our young men can understand how to respect women at an early age and understand that basically, if it wasn't for the female, even though we mentor young boys and we're six pounder, we're all guys. If it wasn't for our cousins, the females in our lives, we would not be here together this right now. We would not be successful. Because I know every time I write a grant, I'm sending it to my cousin. She's in London. If I'll send it to her, she'll go over, she'll read it, she send it to me. One
That's
of our
great.
board members, Stephanie, like I'll send her the grant. She's always there editing. She's always giving us advice on how to do things. Like Rachel, the state rep Liz. Like there's a lot of strong women in our network that if it wasn't for them, we would not even be here. For example, Sandra, one of our founders' sisters, she started our first GoFundMe page. Like we didn't even know what we were doing. We didn't even know how it worked. If it wasn't for her taking time of her day and just working and putting it together, we would definitely not be here today. So that's why we always try to show the youth, like, without the females in our network, we would like this would not be possible. Like I don't even know, like I can't even thank them enough.
That's
You're
wonderful.
sweet. So if you were to wave a magic wand and what's your vision for youth in the community in the future? If you could you already are making significant change, but if you had every wish and kind of that magic wand was swung, what would it look like?
Like last month after we started working with this community center, I just realized like, if there's a place where these kids could just come and be kids with no pressure from society, no pressure, because a lot of these kids' imagination like die young. Like I feel like Jason, 14, he's thinking about becoming the man of the house. He shouldn't be doing that at 14.
Right.
He should be worrying about what video game is coming out, what toy. Mom, can I sleep over my cousin's house? Coming up with a lie to get to sleep over his cousin. Like things like that, just being things that we did as a kid. So one thing I always try to do is look at situation with a mindset. If I'm working with a bunch of 16-year-olds, what did 16-year-old Tony need? If I'm working with a 12-year-old, what did 12-year-old Tony need? What did 12-year-old Tony was missing at that time? Right. So if I had a magic wand, it would be a teen center where these kids could just come. We'd be able to provide, because that's we're in the mix of asking them what they want to see at the teen center and just them seeing like a play area, basketball. They want to able to see something that we don't even take for granted, food. Like every Monday we order them pizza, and just them leaving and eating that pizza before they go. Some of them kids, it might be the only meal of that night that they can actually really enjoy. Or like you could go home and you can have a hard meal, but your mom's at work, so you're eating alone. So it's like things that we take for granted, just them sitting there talking with amongst each other, eating pizza, just like adults do. We love going out as adults. So the kids too, they want to be with kids their age so they can talk about certain things. And we're not all up in their business. You're letting them be kids. I know some of the conversation might not be the ideal conversation, but one thing we have to remember as adults, we were all kids once. We all had those conversations. A lot of those conversations didn't define us. Sometimes we just wanted to be cool because that's what people were talking about. We had no idea about the topic. We just wanted to fit in. Just understanding that and being able to build trust and opening it up so they could come to us with those questions like, hey, so-and-so, then we could give them the real facts and the real thing, how that's going to impact their lives. So if I had the magic wand, it's just to create a beautiful teen center where the kids could just come in, focus on whatever they want, and just build and just become a better person.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, Tony, you have a gift, and we appreciate you sharing that with us today and sharing it with our friends that are watching today and if they're catching the replay. And to learn more about MBK 617, go to mbk617.org. There's ways to support. And, I really, we're honored to have you and thank you so much. This was great. And, again, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thanks, Kayla, for all your help. Thanks, Emily. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. We have a great announcement of an upcoming event coming in April on our next live show. So be there. And that's a wrap. And if you are looking to learn more information about your medical marijuana certification, please go to medwellhealth.net. We are your medical marijuana specialist. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.